Hello, and you are listening to Tech Tonic Podcast, episode 7 of season 2. You are joining me again, Darwin and Jeevan, to talk about things that has happened in the past week. In the past week, we have seen quite a few things happening, one of which is Winter Soldier and Falcon is finally out.
Yeah.
I haven't been watching it. I haven't even watched WandaVision. You can flame me all you want for it, but I actually haven't found the time to watch it. So
I haven't started Winter Soldier either, so
yeah, well, at least you've watched WandaVision. Another thing that happened last week was also the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. It launched, it released, and now it's free to stream. Not free to stream lah. You still have to pay for it, right? You still have to pay for HBO Go, which we have, so we can watch it for 4 hours. Yay!
But also it took down. The launch actually took down Astro Go, HBO Go, and HBO Max.
Yeah, well, everyone wants a piece of Justice League, right? Anyway, there's another trailer that came out for an upcoming movie, which is Space Jam. If you are from the 90s or if you're born in the 90s, you would know this movie, starring Michael Jordan, except this time it's LeBron James. Not sure how to feel about this lah, but we'll just wait for it to launch. I don't know.
If I'm not mistaken, it's coming out sometime in the next few weeks. Or
let's see.
Few months.
Let's see. Well, the trailer came out already. You can go ahead and watch it. I think it's all over YouTube. I personally haven't watched it. Have you, Jeevan?
No, not yet. I'm actually a little bit skeptical to watch it because Space Jam was it's one of those movies that I watched a million times when I grew up.
Well, I mean, for all of us, Michael Jordan has always been a very big icon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, a few more things happened. Xiaomi, they did a launch last week and they launched the Mi 11 Pro and Ultra, right? Those are the more, not just expensive, those are the more powerful versions of their Mi 11 flagship. So these two are basically their tech flagship, if you can call it that, right?
And the Mi 11 Lite as well for the more affordable side of things.
Correct. And they also announced the Mi Mix Fold, which is kind of like the answer to Samsung's foldable smartphone and even Huawei's foldable smartphone lah, for that matter, actually.
Yeah, it looks like one of them as well.
Yeah, and I think knowing Xiaomi is going to be cheaper than the both of them. Definitely, right? It's a Xiaomi.
But also, we have to keep in mind that the Mi Mix line has always been like on the top of their spectrum of price.
Yeah, they've also always pushed the envelope with the Mi Mix lineup, right? They've always done like the fastest charging or the biggest screen or some magnetic slider camera thing and
bone
like
conduction speaker.
Yeah, it sounds really cool, but we don't see a lot of them out in the market currently.
Yep.
They've actually released, in China at least, a bunch of wireless chargers. One of them is a charging pad with 19 coils in it, something that Apple wanted to do but didn't do.
Interesting.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a wireless charger that no one can really fully utilize. It charges at 80 watt. And the fastest wireless charger we have in the market today is, I think, at least the phone that supports it is, I think, 50 watts? 55 watts?
50 watts, I think. And that's the VOOC fast charging.
Yeah, no, that's OnePlus fast
Warp
charging.
Yeah,
Warp charging air or something like that. They call it something like that. And that's the fastest you'll go on a smartphone today. So expect some big announcements from Xiaomi, I guess, later on. I don't know.
Yeah. Probably their new flagship.
Maybe we'll wait for the Mi 12, huh? Now, WWDC and E3 2021 is definitely happening, okay? And they're happening somewhere in June. Apple's WWDC has already, came out with a statement that they are happening on the 7th of June onwards. And both of them are going to be completely online.
Yep.
Well, considering the current pandemic is not getting any much better, it's good.
Yeah.
And at least it's more accessible. Then we can see news, from this side of town rather than going all the way there, paying tickets and whatnot. Free
Yeah,
news is
and
always best news.
that is true. And also, Computex has joined the physical event not happening crowd as well. No
Yeah,
news on whether it's going to be online or not, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so E3 2020 obviously didn't happen because of the pandemic, right? So we're hoping that all the major announcements for, even Computex and CES and everything to happen mostly online. And that will be a great benefit to all of us, lah. At least all of us can
Yeah.
get into the news quickly, right out of the box.
Yeah, and it's also a way that we can actually take more active part in all these announcements as well.
Correct. Last week we also saw a lot of competitors launching new Clubhouse alternatives, and this is not just talking about social media apps like Twitter and Facebook, because they have wanted to do it for a while now. Spotify basically came and said, "Oh yeah, we are going to do something like Clubhouse."
Yeah, and they acquired a company to do it as well, which is
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Because Clubhouse is still a very, very popular app on the Apple ecosystem, and a lot of people are still swearing by Clubhouse and its benefits to everybody, right?
I think for me, the most surprising one was Discord coming out and saying that they're going to create stage channels to take on this Clubhouse.
Yeah, but aren't they like that already?
So stage channels basically is Clubhouse on Discord. Like
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, but we are doing this over Discord right now because we're still working from home, okay? And
Yeah.
Discord works kind of like that already. If you are a channel host, you can actually silence someone if you don't want them to talk. There is a way to do it, right? It's
Yeah.
not as simple as, just clicking the mute button, but you can, if you're a channel owner or if you're a channel host, you basically, or the admin, you basically can silence someone when you want it. Like, I own this channel right now and I can silence Jeevan anytime I want. But of course, that's not going to make a good show, right? Anyway, in Malaysia itself, in our hometown, Touch and Go is e-wallet solution. They launched something called the Go Plus, and it's something like a finance helping investment platform thing. You can read more about that on our website.
Yeah.
Lenovo also launched their new ThinkBook and ThinkPad laptops. These are quite clever and quite nice stuff, actually. And of course, you can read more about that in our website as well. What you haven't been able to read, though, is something that broke out today, basically.
Yeah.
Facebook. In 2019, there was a very big leak in Facebook. There was a very big cyber attack in Facebook that costed them about more than 500 million users' data.
Yeah.
And today, on Twitter, all this 500 million, this 533 million users' data is made publicly free. And these are not just your Facebook ID, which is like a very, very basic thing, right? It's your phone numbers, your full names, where your locations are, birthdays, and even your emails. So if you put your data there, you could be one of those people, who has their data on this list of, 500 million users.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
And in Malaysia alone, there's about 11 million, nearly 12 million names in it.
Yeah. You might want to go into the data pool and find your own name. But I don't know. It's huge, right? Because now you have to start thinking of what you want to put in your, profile. Whether you want to leave your birth dates there, you want to leave your email there, your phone number.
Yeah.
And that's why we've always advised people on Facebook, not to put their phone number, their personal phone number there, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, email, you got no choice lah, right?
Yeah, but don't, if you have like multiple emails, probably use the one that you don't send personal data to, like your bank statements and stuff like that. But at the same time, the information that this leak actually happened did not come from Facebook. It came from a third party who was actually monitoring all these hacker forums for this data. And it's old data, yes. But 2 years old data, I think most of us will still be using the same phone, even the same emails, and sometimes our location hasn't changed.
Yeah, most likely, right? 2 years, I mean, well, it seems like ages ago. 2 years is actually not a very long time. No, think about it, right? We have been stuck in the pandemic for, what,
2 years.
year? A
Nearly
year plus
2 years.
now?
Yeah.
Well, nearly 2 years now. And it just seems like yesterday that we were in MCO, like we were in lockdown.
Yep.
It's not a lot of time, guys. If you were stuck in the same location, or your home is stuck in the same place in the past 2 years, you most likely wouldn't have moved just because of the pandemic itself as well.
Yeah,
It's
and if you
scary,
get
man.
if you get an African prince, you need to be even more skeptical because technically they have access to this data already. It's actually being distributed on Telegram of all platforms.
Yeah, and it's free, it's free. They don't have to
Yeah.
buy anything to get these data. So just be careful. You just keep yourself safe. Just be careful of what you see or what you find online or what you get or what you open from your emails, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially if it's somebody claiming to know you but you're not familiar with them. I think
correct.
be very, very, very skeptical.
Correct. This also includes your work email. So just be careful, okay? Because they can find out whatever information they have on you very quickly, these guys. Anyway, there was another big thing that was announced this morning. It affects Malaysia not so much, kind of.
It
But-
happened in Malaysia a while ago.
Yeah, but at the same time, it affects the global industry as a whole, the technology industry, right?
Yeah.
Because LG basically this morning, after a board meeting in South Korea, announced that they are going to close off all their smartphone business.
Yeah, and this is after they said that this year would be a year of experimentation for their mobile division.
Yeah,
And
well,
they've
earlier,
they've actually had a few interesting phones.
one of them is
but-
the LG Wing. You know,
Yeah,
that flip-out smartphone.
I actually wanted to try that phone, but we couldn't get our hands on that phone in Malaysia.
Because it's not
But-
available here.
Yeah, even LG Malaysia was like, we can't get the phone in. So
Yeah.
yeah. But
And
it's
it's
very
not just
sad
that.
to see.
It's not just that. They actually announced, or at least they released in CES 2021, you know, they actually had a concept smartphone that is rollable. You know, before we see
Yeah.
Oppo's version of the rollable smartphone coming into Malaysia, LG had a working version of it in CES.
Yeah.
And so we'll never see that ever again. It's quite sad.
Yeah, and that phone is actually one of the more interesting ones because they go from your phone aspect ratio to a cinematic aspect ratio.
Correct.
And
Ah.
if you consume a lot of content on Netflix and stuff like that, that is something that you would be excited about because
Yeah.
you're seeing it in native cinematic quality and resolution.
Yeah, well, we'll never see that happening ever at this
Yeah.
point. Or at least, you know, not until LG knows what to do with its smartphone division or if they decide to sell it off at all. According
Yeah.
to their announcements, they are going to complete this close on the 31st of July. That means there's still some time before that, right? And that they will continue selling their devices for now and support their devices for now until further notice. Okay, so if you own an LG device, well, I'm gonna say not to worry. Okay, if you are not living in Malaysia, because in Malaysia they've not really supported their phones for a while now anyway.
Yeah. If you live in a place where LG does have their phones, I think at this point you should be a little bit concerned that you may not be getting your updates moving forward.
Yeah, maybe not in, for a year or something lah. Okay, you might be able to keep your phone until the end of 2021, but after that, I think you should look for a different alternative if you want,
Yeah.
constant updates. Samsung's doing
Yeah.
well with that at least lah right now, 3
Yeah,
years.
so surprisingly, they've actually taken me by surprise with their guarantees for updates and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And because before this, Samsung was one of the worst when it came to updates.
Yeah.
And LG was actually better than them.
Yeah, because Samsung is very slow with their update. I'm a Samsung user and I love to use their phones, but their updates has been very, very slow. And
Yeah.
it's just slow lah. You can't do anything about it. It's disappointing sometimes because everybody else will be announcing, oh, we're gonna move to Android 12 or whatever not, and then after that, you as a Samsung user will be like, I'm still on Android 10. Oh, I'm gonna get an update for Android 11 next week.
Next quarter. Usually it's next quarter.
Something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, but them saying that they're gonna support their phones for the next 3 years or so in its lifetime is a welcome lah. I like that.
Yeah, I like it. And I think both of us using Samsung phones, like you're on the S21 Ultra,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the Note 10 Plus. Both of us
Mm-hmm.
have been getting monthly updates
Yeah, great.
quite regularly. Yeah.
Great. The only issue is that you just have to let your phone update for a while and let it turn off and not do anything for a while,
Yeah.
which is annoying, but better having updates than not, right?
Yeah. And it's also, I think, LG closing down their mobile division is actually a sign of the greater mobile industry actually consolidating itself. At one point, we had 6 million phone device manufacturers.
Well, there's still
in the
going to
world.
be more developers or manufacturers coming up, right? Especially like if you watch how China has been, coming up with their new phones. Realme was a brand that did not exist 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And they just came up 2 years ago and just swept the market with really, really, really cheap phones. Now they're
Yeah.
moving to more premium devices. But this is the same for people like Xiaomi and Oppo and Vivo as well, right? They did not exist 10 years ago. But with a sudden boom of smartphones, with Huawei expanding their operations, Samsung doing really well in their own segments, they made really cheap phones, mid-range and whatnot. People started seeing opportunities to go into the mid-range at least, or the entry-level smartphone market because it's cheap and you can get cheap parts anyway.
Yeah, and at this point, I think if you're a smartphone company thinking of coming onto the actual scene, you need to be looking at your mid-range because that's where people are buying. That's where you're going to hit your volume. And to be very honest, I think that's one of the things that LG didn't do in its final years. Yeah, and on top of that, I think LG had their most success in the mobile market in the early days of Android because their devices were really affordable. Like you could get a really good, really sturdy LG device at less than 1,000 ringgit.
Yeah. The V20 or something like that?
No, I think it was the LGW or something like that. It was one of the lower end ones. Before the V20 and the V30.
And they were great stuff, right? Because if you compare it to an equivalent Samsung at the same time, right? The LG boasts a better build quality, okay, the slightly better experience at the time, and even cheaper prices compared to a Samsung even at that time,
If you ask me at that point in time whether I would recommend a Samsung or an LG for the price, LG would have won at that time.
Hands down.
Yes.
Hands down. Right?
Because that is the quality of their devices.
Yeah, but if you pick up an LG today, or at least if you want to compare to an equivalent Samsung, I don't think you recommend a LG at this point. Also, like even if you get the LG Wing to come into Malaysia, who would want to buy a LG Wing? You know, who is it for?
Yeah, and also the fact that LG, I think they got lost in their innovation.
Mm-hmm.
They released the V series, the V10, V20, V30, and
Right.
everybody was praising them because it was the first wave of smartphones which had a pretty good camera.
Yeah.
You could do
and
videography and photography on it.
and they work properly.
And it worked properly with good support. And then you had
Yeah.
the G series, which went from being this modular flagship to being something that just looks like every other phone out there.
Yeah.
And they were focusing so much on the user AI and stuff like that I think as a smartphone, they forgot what a smartphone was built for.
Mm-hmm.
And they were focusing too much on things like AI, at least ahead of the time when people actually cared about AI.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But their development of AI has not gone to waste lah, okay, at least, because you see their other electronic stuff doing really well right now. Things like their TV, their washing machines, their home appliance like the the water purifier. These things are actually what supports their business a lot in the past few years. Okay, and to be fair, their mobile business unit, which is their smartphone division, has not been making money for the past at least 5 years to 6 years, you know.
Yeah.
So it does make sense for them to kind of close. Yeah.
But it also brings a bigger question on what device will you be using to interact with your IoT and ThinQ devices now, since LG smartphones are that's one thing I'm gonna be thinking about, is whether they will actually now join the SmartThings platform as well.
No, but at the same time, they can make their, smart home application, their IoT application available to Google's Home and Google's Assistant anyway. So I think that would be the case moving forward. Whether or not they will lose their ThinQ AI for their TV or not, I don't think so. I think they're still going to develop on that and, push along that line further. But they're going to make it a little small part of, Android's or Google's smart home ecosystem as well. I think that's the only sensible thing to do moving forward, right? If they don't have a smartphone to work with. At least,
and it would make a lot of sense considering how widely respected they are in that field.
Anyway, I think that is all the time we have for today's discussion, and today's discussion has been quite, not to say a rushed one. It's just that the news broke early this morning, and we were all taken aback a little bit by not just the LG announcement, even by Facebook's projection of, oh, we've lost 500 million data and it's now coming back to haunt us, kind of thing. Right? Even we are a bit scared right now. Like, what should we actually put on our social media? Like,
and also like, what information should we remove at this moment? But at the same time, even if we remove the data is already out there.
Yeah, it's the past 2 years ago. The data is 2 years old, but it's still valid today for some reason, right?
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for listening. If you have anything to suggest, if you want to hear on certain topics or you want to be educated on certain topics, do let us know. Reach out to us via email or via all our social media. We are TechEnt TV, that is TECHENT TV, across all our social media channels. That includes Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even LinkedIn. Our email is available on our website, so do go and visit for also the latest information and the latest news pieces from us, TechEnt.tv. That is www.techent.tv. And as always, this has been a pleasure. Me and Jeevan, we really thank you for you listening in and tuning in. So we're signing out. Bye.
See ya.